mainfoil in the water, you always want the flap working to push the bows up over the waves and not dig them into the back of waves. But once you get close to the beach, you have to take your mainfoil up. So that is probably the toughest time I have sailing a UFO, is there's this breeze direction where the breeze comes and your fetch is all the way to Prudence Island. It's sort of west-southwesterly. And when it's blowing over 30 knots west-southwesterly, and it has been all day, you get vicious waves on this beach. It's just channeling right in, and you got the rock walls on either side, so the waves are sort of bouncing, and there's cross waves coming this and that, and it's just very messy.
You have to land the boat into a food blender.
Yes. So I basically wait to take my mainfoil up as long as possible, but I get in sort of into the mooring field. It's like, okay, got to go mainfoil up. Take the shrouds totally off so that you have full ability to rotate the mast without the shrouds getting caught on the mainfoil. And then you have to figure out how to get in. So now you're really sailing a dinghy that, even with full negative on the rudder, is going to want to kind of dig into its bow into the waves. You're not going to be able to, if the chop gets really vicious, go dead downwind. You're going to have to tack downwind on gybing angles. Even though you're not moving, fast, the apparent wind's not forward. This is not max VMG, but that's just physically what you're going to have to do to get the boat that last however far into the beach through shallow water. As you do this, you may find that when you bear away to try and do a gybe, you just are constantly digging the bows when you try and gybe. So you tack. You reach along and you tack, and you reach along and you tack. It is painful, but it only happens when you have really big waves and shallow water right where you're trying to land the boat. So some of this
the rudder is up?
The rudder's up halfway. Yeah, so that's also reducing your control. Now, the thing to note, if you're going to try and get the boat through a gybe in this mode, which isn't always possible, actually, I think we should put that video. I think we have some video. It's not great because it was shot on a cell phone from a distance away of me doing this in Key Largo. The day after the first Key Largo event this year, the Monday, I went out sailing for a couple hours and basically just demonstrated getting on and off the beach in really gnarly conditions. And it was, I just reached and I tacked, and I reached and I tacked, and I reached and I tacked until I got onto the beach. Now, when your mainfoil's up, and generally speaking with your foils in general, you don't get lift out of your foils or actually negative lift out of your rudder until the boat's moving. So the sort of basic dinghy sailing skill of accelerate on a reach, find a wave, surf down the wave through your gybe, make sure your bow is now going back upwind again when you run into the back of the wave forward is important. And the more speed you can build before you head downwind, the more likely you are to make it through your gybe. So if you're really slow and you just pull the tiller over in waves and try and gybe, you'll just dig the bows. You need to head up, build speed on the reach, then pull the tiller towards you. Once you've got some speed, the negative on your rudder is working and sort of holding the stern down, holding the bows up, and you need to then carry that speed through the gybe to keep the bows up and from digging into the wave in front of you. And in really vicious chop with no mainfoil up, that is probably not going to be enough, so you'll just tack. And you can just do a nice slow Heisman tack and, come back and reach
slowly backing up the entire way through the tack anyway, so that's getting you progress towards the beach.
Yeah,
too.
So the other thing you can do is, if this just all gets to be too much, is get yourself dead upwind of the beach and just stop.
Yeah.
Just lean your back against the sail, put your rudder all the way over on the same side of the sail. You can hold it with your feet, and you are hove to. And you can just drift towards the beach hove to. And if when you drift towards the beach hove to, you won't go dead downwind. You'll kind of go like this. If you get, here where it's sort of tight, you get too far to one edge, do a tack, heave to again, and sort of drift the other way towards the beach. You also can, I've done this once when I wanted to get in quickly. There's the moth and wasp way of getting in. And this does not work so well if you have a long ways to go in shallow water, but in Newport, where I did not have a long ways to go in shallow water, I basically came in, dead downwind into the beach, got as close as I dared get with my foils in the water, and then purposely capsized the boat. So I kept my foils all the way down for maximum control, purposely capsized the boat. In Newport, you're 20 yards off the beach at this point, and just swam the capsized boat in. Now, we designed the whole UFO so you never have to swim the boat into shore the way people who sail moths and wasps have to do it every single time they go sailing. But if you want to get in really quickly, and it's going to be sort of gnarly to get your foils up and then try and sail the boat in the conditions that exist with the foils up, it's always an option in the toolbox. And if you capsize the boat and you capsize the mast towards the wind, we talked about how the boat will sort of drift downwind for a while before it turtles. So if you capsize the mast towards the wind, just sort of let the boat drift downwind right into the beach.
Just grab the tip of the mast and sort of Mary
Yes.
Poppins your way in.
Yeah, you can hold the tip of the mast right here so it doesn't sink, and just sort of keep it on your shoulder. It'll float on your life jacket, and the boat will just slowly drift in towards shore downwind. So the sort of good thing is the hard scenario to get the boat in is the scenario where, like, if you drop the rig in the water, like the mast broke, you would still end up on the beach. That's sort of one of the things I did when I used to go sail my laser in really breezy conditions. Was a lot of the shoreline near where I lived was rocky, but there was one nice sandy beach. So you would basically book it to dead upwind of the nice sandy beach, and then you would just sail windward leeward right in front of the nice sandy beach. And the idea was, it never happened, if I broke my rig, I was going to end up on the beach no matter what I did. Like, I could get separated from the boat, I could be swimming, it could be drifting along, and it would still end up on the sandy beach as opposed to on the rocks.
What happened if the wind changed?
Well, when it's blowing 35 knot easterly on Long Island Sound, the wind doesn't change for about 3 days. So you know that's what you see is what you get.